Today we're talking about 7 cool little non-AI tips to attract and convert leads on LinkedIn. You don't need to run expensive ads in order to do this. And this video is made specifically for beginners, whether you are a startup or a well-established business looking to maybe branch out in terms of different social media channels to include LinkedIn, and primarily for B2B businesses. I mean, I don't really recommend B2C companies for LinkedIn, but unless you've been living under a rock, you may have heard about something called the Google apocalypse, which is something else that we talked about recently on this channel, where basically Google is putting AI overviews at the top of search, has been doing so at an increasing rate in recent months. And therefore, this explains the massive traffic drop that has occurred for a lot of businesses, websites, usually on the order of 50 to 80% of search traffic. It's gone down by that much. We've seen it here at our business as well. And so the result of that is that businesses like yours and mine, we need to find other distribution channels to make up for that, more limited visibility. And a lot of SEO gurus are talking about, oh, what about AI SEO? And you get more engagement from the fewer clicks that you do get coming through from ChatGPT and Google Gemini or Google search results. Honestly, that traffic is not coming back. And so a lot of people are pouring into social media and ads and conversion optimization. So this video specifically is about going into LinkedIn as one of those social media channels to help you continue to maintain and grow your leads. And it's actually easier than you think, because for a while, I myself was a huge skeptic of social media. I was like, well, we got tens of thousands of visitors every month organically coming to our website in terms of leads. Definitely took that for granted. And now that that's a fraction of what it was in the past, we've started to branch into LinkedIn and other places, and we're seeing results immediately, primarily with YouTube and LinkedIn. So even if you haven't been affected by the recent Google apocalypse, as I love to call it, investing in LinkedIn can still be an excellent source for you to attract and convert more leads and generally just build more awareness about your business and brand in a way that's actually going to benefit your bottom line ultimately. It's not just, woo-woo visibility. It actually results in people going to your website, getting on your email list, and buying from you. So whether you're a soon-to-be converted skeptic like me, or you already believe in the power of social media as a lead generation channel, and especially in terms of top of funnel traffic and visibility, either way, let's dive into these 7 cool little non-AI tips to attract and convert leads on LinkedIn. And again, no expensive ads required for this. So the first tip relates to the fact that if you go on LinkedIn, you're going to see a fair amount of cringe content. And the reason why there's plenty of cringe content on LinkedIn, and by cringe, what do I mean? I mean kind of like a little bit awkward, a little bit like trying to be funny or trying to be clever, trying to like sell you on something and just really not doing a good job of it. That's a whole video by itself. The reason for that, I suspect it's probably something to do with the fact that like a lot of people just don't have a ton of marketing experience, and maybe they're not business owners, that have their hands deep in marketing and copywriting or things like this. So there is a bit of awkwardness, but in the awkwardness, it makes it easier for you to stand out. So tip number 1 is you want to go with natural cringe, being better than AI slop cringe, because there's a huge temptation today in the age of AI to just use AI and be like, oh, I'm just gonna automate this. I got this little formula. I'm just gonna ask ChatGPT to like basically just build my followers and my impressions, and it's gonna be all just completely automated, no problem. So that can work in some cases, but generally speaking, it's more likely to just get copied and get automated. And there is just domain expertise and a way of communicating that you as a human and not as an AI, that you can just do better. Authenticity and you specifically, being part of the brand of your business and your voice, especially if you are the founder or owner of the company and you don't mind being out front and being the face and the voice of the company, that is an expression of your brand. And by communicating in a way that feels authentic and natural and that flows, that's going to align people and just attract them to you magnetically in an emotional way. But if you use AI, it still writes in ways that are recognizable by us humans. We are like machines, especially today, as we are bombarded on average with more than 2,000 advertising messages per day. So we in modern society have had to get more and more discerning about what is commercial and what is actual authentic communication coming from another human being to me, right? So if you're tempted to use or already using AI to write your social media posts, stop it. All right, just stop it, because it probably isn't sustainable. And you can use it to like generate ideas, and then you want to like rewrite those ideas later on. But especially if you're just starting out, you want to get a feel. You want to. It's okay to struggle a little bit. It's okay. It's better to be just kind of authentically a little bit cringe than to be AI slop cringe. Okay, because people are just going to completely tune you out. Versus at least if you are trying and you're coming from a place of authenticity, people are much more likely to resonate with that because at least you're being natural. The second tip is to add a custom call to action or CTA to the top of all of your LinkedIn posts. This is what will help to drive people either to your website or to your newsletter / lead magnet, ideally. And it will be featured right at the top of each of your posts that you post on LinkedIn. So to give you an example of this, I'm going to turn to the side computer over here. So here I'm logged into LinkedIn, and I can see this post that appeared in my feed today. I don't really know this person well, but we are connected on LinkedIn, a fellow entrepreneur. And I thought it'd be kind of a good like mini case study for us to go over for a lot of the rest of the tips that we have coming up here. So for Roman Zerzi, who did, again, a pretty good job with this post and a few other posts, I'll be pointing out what he did well and perhaps some areas for how he can do better. I'll also be contrasting it with my own LinkedIn profile, just to be real with you guys, because it definitely needs some optimization. And I think seeing what works versus what kind of works or what can work better is going to be helpful for you. But here's exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about adding a call to action to the top of all of your LinkedIn posts. As you can see here, Roman is a premium user of LinkedIn. And part of this tip too, like for you to actually do this at the top of all your posts, you do have to become a premium LinkedIn paying member. So you can pay monthly for that, or you can pay annually, and it's something closer to like $30 per month. If you pay monthly, it's around $52 US dollars per month. And in my opinion, it's worth it just for the CTA, because these posts, this is something that, again, can move someone off of LinkedIn and into the top of your funnel, or even just like, immediately to potentially buy from you. Because when you think about it, if you think about it this way, like someone is on LinkedIn, they're in business, okay? They're there often to do business, whether it's hiring someone, whether it's maybe finding some sort of a supplier for something, doing some sort of additional market research. They're there to do business. So if you're able to generate hundreds of impressions per month, in my opinion, it's sort of like don't think of it just as an impression, all right? These are kind of like mini web pages, if you will. These are like every post is like a mini landing page by itself, something we'll talk more about in the rest of this video. That's like someone almost like coming to your blog in the past. You can make it sort of like analogous to that. And if you do a good job of, giving them something valuable, they're more likely to want to check you out and check out what it is, not just your profile on LinkedIn, but also just even go to your website, like so. You can't really, at the time of this video, you cannot customize the text. It has to be either visit my website or visit my newsletter. And so with a newsletter, you can offer some sort of a lead magnet, which obviously can get people onto your email lists. And it can be something as simple as like literally just like join my newsletter. Ideally, I recommend offering some sort of more incentive, like some sort of bite-sized incentive too, because again, if people are coming from LinkedIn, they might be in the mood to do business, but as long as the commitment threshold to get value is as low as possible, like a checklist or perhaps some sort of a simple template, people are much more likely to want to opt in to get it. And by the way, one question that I had when I was considering signing up for LinkedIn Premium is that I was wondering, would this actually boost my visibility in the newsfeed? Would they show me more often? Because based on how they worded some of the things on LinkedIn Premium on their landing page where they sell it, it sounded like maybe it would boost the visibility too. But in fact, after doing a little more research, it does help you to increase your quote network expansion and discovery, which is actually just corporate fluff for you can DM more people through the LinkedIn in-mail system. You can see some people who viewed your profile. But again, I think it's still worth it just for the call to action that it gives you at the top of the post here in the news feed itself. And further, I think paying for this is a good idea because it just makes you more accountable to investing in LinkedIn for at least a solid month. Because I believe that in that time, as long as you are consistent, that's a big if, you have to really commit to it. It's really not a big commitment. You can write, I don't know, 5, 10 posts or more in just an hour or two that are really actually quite good. And you can schedule them out in advance using different third-party tools. So I think paying for it, again, like you're going to want to get that money back, so you're actually going to make a commitment. But even so, the first month is actually $0. It's free to try for a month. And we've signed up for it, and it's been great so far. And again, LinkedIn and YouTube are the two biggest channels that we're seeing the most traction on right now for our social media efforts. Tip number 3 is that algo alignment matters more than followers. In other words, just aligning yourself and just kind of feeding the LinkedIn algorithm. I mean, this tip can actually apply to any of the other social media news channels as well. I mean, this tip can actually apply to the other social media channels as well, not just LinkedIn. But basically today, there's a great opportunity because the number of people who you have following you is far less of a determinant of how much reach you can have versus if LinkedIn judges your content to be something that people want to see. Because what does LinkedIn want? LinkedIn wants people to stay on the platform. If you're a paying customer, it also wants you to continue paying, of course. So it wants to drive interaction and visibility for you. Although I would say the primary driver is it wants to have a positive exchange between people who are scrolling the news feed and finding content that is interesting, that's going to retain them on the site, on the platform for longer, maybe lead to some sort of another positive interaction. So as long as your content, again, just kind of aligns with that agenda, it can be a very symbiotic relationship, you can say. If you scratch LinkedIn's back, LinkedIn is going to scratch your back. So this begs the question of how do you know if you're aligning with the algorithm? And the easy answer to that is study what is working for others both in and outside of your market, and then sort of model what they're doing. I mean, I don't want to say copy because you ultimately want to make it your own. And I think that's what is really meant by the phrase good artists copy, great artists steal. It's the idea that you can copy, you can imitate, but until you can copy and truly make it your own and even improve upon it, that is the goal. You want to also study what is not working, because by seeing what is not working, you can start to draw a contrast between, okay, here are the people who are getting the best results, and exactly like you can contrast in your mind, like what are they doing? Because that's like kind of like a definition of, again, what works. And then you flip back and forth between the profiles and the people who are still posting regularly, but they're not getting results. What is it that they are posting? What is it that they are doing to be out of alignment, you think, with the algorithm? And you're going to easily be able to see those gaps. A lot of the times it can just come down to tone and just not caring about what it is you're posting. It's just oftentimes, again, this is why I go back to tip number 1, don't use AI. Like stop using AI to write and just post whatever AI tells you to post. Actually put in just a little bit of critical thought. It doesn't take a lot of time and it will get you results. It will grow your sales and leads. So do a little bit of research. Don't get into analysis by paralysis, but just check out the profiles that are posting regularly. What is it they are doing? And flip in the tabs in your browser back and forth. Okay, those that are working, those that are not. Those that are working, those that are not. And again, you're just going to absorb this like a sponge over time by seeing the contrast back and forth, and then just start writing. And that brings us to tip number 4, which is post daily. Because how do you achieve algo alignment? How do you actually learn how to whisper sweet nothings to the LinkedIn algorithm? Well, I'll tell you, baby. It basically just comes through repetition, because a lot of the times you're going to get up to the plate and you're just going to strike out, so to speak, to use a baseball metaphor, meaning you might make a post and sometimes it will get, 100, 1,000, hopefully tens of thousands of views and interactions. But other times you might get up to the plate and completely strike out. Oh, just, 10 impressions to start. Again, it depends too on like how many people you already connected with, how many followers you already have. And for tip number 4, I specifically recommend in terms of doing this daily, every day, just devote about 60 minutes to an hour to actually sitting down and writing your LinkedIn social media posts, include an image with it, okay? And do this for at least 1 month. You can do an image or a video. Sometimes GIFs can be pretty engaging as well. And then every day that you post, you're going to get feedback from the algorithm. How much distribution did you get? How many followers did you get? How many likes did you get? How many comments did you get? What is resonating with people? And what are the posts that the LinkedIn algorithm is choosing to show more of and which ones is LinkedIn choosing to show less of. Again, do tip number 4, be consistent for at least 1 month. Okay, you will start seeing results. For tip number 5, we're going to turn back to our dear friend Roman Cersei, giving him some free promotion here. I actually don't know Roman, but Roman, you're welcome. Roman here is a good example of tip number 5, which is to add the free call to action to your profile here. This is something that you don't need a LinkedIn Premium subscription in order to do. What I'm referring to specifically is this link right here, because a lot of people may or may not click that link in the post that says, visit my newsletter or visit my website. They will also, or alternatively, click just to see your profile, to learn a little bit about you. Again, people like to buy from people, not from nameless, faceless brands. This is the same strategy that we're pursuing too. We're not trying to promote our LinkedIn business page because again, it's too anonymous, it's too impersonal. Instead, I'm just using my personal LinkedIn again to just be the face of the Growbo brand on LinkedIn. And the power of this link is again similar to the power of the link at the top of each of your posts. It's the power of being able to take someone off of LinkedIn, something that, they generally kind of don't want, but they know that people inherently want to do business. So they want to offer profile owners this option to help them to actually drive business to their site. And what's unique about this compared to the other call to action is that you can actually customize the call to action keywords that you're using. So for example, this is pretty good. The copy is actually quite good here. Find and contact warm leads. And if I click on that, again, it's going to bring us to the Gogeberry website. And the headline is relatively well aligned with that CTA. It would be even better, I think, if the text matched exactly. And this goes back to what we teach at Growbo here as part of our 11 laws of sales funnel physics framework. One of the laws is the law of alignment, which just says like if you set expectations and then you fulfill them, you're more likely to see a progression of conversions going down the funnel in terms of like, okay, someone came to your blog post, someone came to you, for example, your LinkedIn profile, they saw a call to action, they clicked through, they saw a landing page with the exact same headline, and then the rest of the copy was also aligned with and supporting that headline. Because the headline in a way is kind of making a promise of whatever value they're going to get by reading this page or whatever the page is about. Now to contrast this in an honest way with my own profile, which again, I've kind of outsourced this task to others on the team. I haven't really been involved with this. So I'm just in real time, just being real with you guys because I think this can be better. And I want you to get the benefit of seeing how I evaluate this against the current state of my personal Growbo related LinkedIn profile here. And you can see a couple of things stand out to me. I mean, obviously with the call to action link, it is relatively clear, but it's not so well aligned with what people would click and see in terms of the headline on the page, which is more about like delegate all your marketing tasks without the headaches of hiring. Crafting the copy to align better with that would get better results. And also my profile headline, I think, is a little bit out of alignment too. Because again, like this in a way should kind of support this, which is then further supported and aligned with the landing page that people are being driven to. I really like how Roman wrote his. I think his is a superior implementation of that. I'll be rewriting my description headline here for my LinkedIn profile soon as well. And just to kind of zoom out and summarize the strategy for tip number 5 here, what is this based on? I mean, what is the lens through which we're looking at this? Well, the lens is you're treating your profile like a landing page, okay? And what is the purpose of a landing page but to drive conversions, to drive leads? You want people to understand, to see, what is the brand, what is the offer, generally speaking, and then to click through and or to open a new tab and they can, Google you as well. Tip number 6 is also aligned with this general strategy of treating your profile like a landing page. And it means using proven principles, like one of the other principles or laws, as we call them, the 11 laws of sales funnel physics. One of them is the law of repetition. And you can see it at work here on Roman's profile where he's mentioning Gogeberry, his company, multiple times. Gogeberry right here as well, with a call to action to try it, along with the web address. He also has Gogeberry on his hat. He also has Gogeberry over here on the right side. He says he also has Gogeberry in the text here as well. In terms of the law of repetition, my profile is also doing a decent job of that. You can see Growbo is mentioned several times. If someone was going to Google it though, I might you might consider like putting like in like kind of like a soft gray text, .com here, so people know that go to growbo.com specifically. Because if people can just type in the web address versus having to go to Google to search for you first, that's actually one less step, and that lowers the friction in terms of people getting into your funnel. So for example, in Roman's case, he's doing an excellent job with the law of repetition, but in terms of like, you might call it the law of clarity, which is one of the other laws that we talk about in the 11 laws of sales funnel physics framework. Gogeberry should maybe just, the brand perhaps should actually just be gogeberry.ai, not just Gogeberry. See the Google's results, sift through them, hopefully find Gogeberry at the top of the results, because again, like there's going to be potentially like ads, there's going to potentially be, your competitors might be advertising on your brand name. There's potentially going to be an AI overview on top as well. So that's food for thought as well, kind of a bonus tip, if you will. Some other sub tips under this tip number 6 of just optimizing your profile, other than using and applying the law of repetition, is think about brand associations. So if we scroll down here, we see that companies and brands that he's associating himself with. The top 2 visible ones are Forbes, and apparently, I guess this is where he went to school and got his master's from. So you want to think about that too, like what brands do you want to associate your business and your brand with? Because branding is all about association, and it does have some power in terms of people getting an initial impression of like, okay, what ideas, what feelings, am I going to be associating with this brand going forward? So in my case, for example, I have Tony Robbins appearing, who I don't really follow. I think he maybe made like a LinkedIn post that I liked once. But again, my LinkedIn profile is no longer just for like personal networking or whatever purposes. This is for business. This is for driving leads and sales, right? I don't necessarily know if I want to associate my brand or my company's brand with Tony Robbins, so I might want to consider unfollowing and strategically following someone else or some other brand that I want to associate us with. For Robbie Abed, I don't know who Robbie is. I'm sure he's a real nice guy. I mean, he's got 34,000 followers, but no one else probably knows who he is either, for the most part. So probably not a very good strategic decision to associate with either one of those. But that's something that, again, you want to make that strategic decision consciously. Something else that I encourage you to do is actually have this recommendation section filled out. So while Roman has done a pretty good job overall in terms of like filling out his and doing the copywriting and overall design for his profile, better than mine actually, which is why I'll be upgrading it soon. The recommendations here, like these are basically testimonials. This is just social proof for you, which is going to rub off directly on your company brand. So make sure to have some recent testimonials, aka recommendations from other professionals or business owners who you trust. And it can even be friends. It doesn't really matter. Even just a little bit of social proof can really help. And whoever you get them from, just make sure that they can write well. If you want to make it super easy for them, just offer to give them a testimonial in exchange for them giving you one. And you can even give like a suggested, ideas for them, and tell them like it's your choice, whatever you think. Put it in your own voice, right? So it doesn't feel like you actually wrote it for them. And they'll write you something great. Because ideally, the testimonial not just says that, Tom is a great person. Tom has these skills. It's like Tom and, XYZ brand, XYZ company are awesome. I worked with them, I got results, or their product is amazing. Something like this. Bring it back to your company, because again, that's your goal. You want to drive leads and sales here. And finally, tip number 7, when posting on LinkedIn, don't bury the lead, as they say in journalism, because people are only going to see the top 2, maybe 3 lines, like here in the example from Cyril Cote, if I'm saying his name right. He does a pretty good job of opening here. Anyone can make $1 million in annual recurring revenue with the right offer, ... That obviously begs the question of, okay, so how do you do it, right? You're making a claim. He's going to be backing it up. So you're incentivized to click the read more, a little blue link, in order to expand it. And in parentheses here, he's kind of like handling a potential objection to people who might like roll their eyes and be like, okay, sure, it's another one of these posts, but okay, well, even if you're starting from scratch, okay, I'm a beginner. Interesting. Let me see what this guy has to say. For Roman here, with one of his posts, he writes, 5 AI agents brought us 39,000 visitors this month for our SaaS business. So it's a claim, it's a specific number, and he's going to obviously, this is an open loop, because again, it begs the question that automatically when we see it, we want to have it answered of, okay, well, it's about AI. What are these agents? What did they do? How autonomous are they? How do they drive this traffic? especially if I'm a SaaS business, like I'm going to want to find out what's going on here. But even if I'm not, if I'm just, interested in driving more traffic for my website using AI, let me check this out. Maybe this is relevant to me and what we're selling. And why does this matter? Because the first line is kind of like your title. It's a high point of leverage, and people are much more likely to read that than anything else in the post. So you want to spend the most time optimizing the first 1 or 2 lines, 1 or 2 sentences in order to persuade people that it's worth their time to keep reading. Now, I want to give you a final bonus tip here. This is real quick. We can go over this more in a future video. I'll make a whole video dedicated just to this strategy. I'll make a whole video dedicated just to this tip if you want, because there's a lot more depth here that I'm going to actually go into right now. But the final tip here is to understand the post type strategy. In other words, like there are different types of posts that you can publish to LinkedIn. And you need to strategically think of each of them as being top of the funnel or middle of the funnel or bottom of the funnel. They need to fit into one of those categories, okay? Top of the funnel is more about, driving broad awareness. Usually it's something relatable, storytelling, memes, insights. Middle of the funnel, this is about usually more specific ideas or tips aligned with the problem that your product or service might solve. For bottom of the funnel type of content, for that, we're thinking typically about something that is directly related to your product, or what I would call a micro lead magnet. So examples of bottom of the funnel content on LinkedIn are testimonials, case studies, offers, and direct CTAs. Quick example here from Cyril is he's actually prepared a Google Doc that he can then send to anyone who's willing to apparently connect with him, which I would not recommend structuring it this way. It's much easier to just say, follow me, and then say, comment the word offer. You may have seen something like this done by other marketers on LinkedIn and elsewhere. And people will just leave a comment saying whatever the keyword is, agent, offer, gimme, whatever you want it to be. So there you have it. We've gone over 7 cool little non-AI tips to convert leads on LinkedIn without any ads. And we even threw in a bonus tip because I just want to over deliver for you there. And to recap real quick, number 1 is post in a way that is natural. You're going to get better with time. Don't worry if you come off as a little bit cringy. You're on the learning curve, okay? It's better than posting AI slop, because AI slop will harm your brand and just not get you much distribution over time. And you're going to be scratching your head wondering, well, social media doesn't work. LinkedIn doesn't work. I wonder why. And I don't want that for you. So number 2 is add a custom CTA to all of your LinkedIn posts. Number 3 is align your posts with the algorithm. Algo alignment matters more than followers. Number 4 is post daily to get more reps until you learn what the algorithm wants, what it prefers, what it's going to give you the most distribution on. Then double down on that and post daily specifically for 1 month. Number 5 is add the free call to action to your profile. And the strategy overall here is to treat your profile like a landing page. Number 6 is optimize your profile using proven tactics and principles like the law of repetition, brand associations, having some well-worded professional recommendations, aka testimonials, that are not just about you, but are about your company brand from people in business who also write well. Number 7 is don't bury the lead when posting. And number 8 is understand that there are different types of LinkedIn content, and you want to be strategic based on what your goal is and what you're able to achieve. Like if your goal is maximum distribution, you want to focus on top of the funnel content, in other words, like meme-ish type of content, versus bottom of the funnel content, which is more about just trying to drive sales and leads directly. So which tip resonated the most with you? Please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you thought of the video overall. And if you got value from this video, please consider sharing it with someone else right now. Thank you so much.